when COVID hit, that I started to believe it. So I'm going to show you why, with evidence, not motivation, why you're at the right place with the right company at the right time. I'm here to give you proof. That's what I'm here to do. Now, all of you here are making decisions every single year, every single month, every single week, every single day, every single hour. You are all making decisions about your personal life, about your kids, about your marriage, about your health, about what you eat, your business. Are you gonna make that phone call? Are you gonna make that extra recruit, reach out to that extra recruit? How many people right now in your base shop have signed up for a course but haven't logged in? Do you guys know that? Some of you might know that, some of you might forget to look into that. Here's a stat that'll blow your mind. Last year, Excel, our licensing partner, sold 47,000 courses. 12% of the people that bought them never even logged in. So, some of you, that might be somebody on your team that was recruited, but you never followed up, you never know what happened to them, and that could have been the next Alicia. You never know if that could have been the next Zong. My point is, decisions determine direction. That is the bottom line. Decisions determine direction. Every day you're making decisions. So you take this talk for what you will, but hopefully that will stick with you as you're thinking about your business. Because I'm learning more and more data since I've come back. Some of you don't know this. I was head of life distribution for Transamerica for the last couple of years. I just came back to WFG in January full time, 100% WFG, not Transamerica. Yes, we're part of the same company, but I'm 100% WFG. And so as I'm learning more, digging into the numbers to try to do my job to help grow your businesses, I'm finding these pieces of data, and I'm calling Swan, and I'm calling Alicia, and I'm saying, did you know that it takes 4 months for someone to get licensed on average, and then it takes another 4 months for someone to make their $1,000? Like, what can we do to help these people? Because that's what we're here for, right? We're here to help these people. So when we talk about right place, right time, it all starts with a purpose. No family left behind. You guys have heard this a million times. And I know in WSP it's about financial literacy. To me, it means the same thing. When we say no family left behind, that means making sure that every family is financially educated. Because no one's going to buy a solution that could change their family's life unless they're educated on what it is. That's the bottom line. Everything starts with education. We've all been doing, I started out as an agent in 1999, and when I was selling VULs, before I sold anything, the first hour was me doing education, teaching about the rule of 72, inflation, how tax-deferred growth works. I was doing this in 1999. That was education, especially in my community. Nobody knew what tax-deferred growth was, or nobody knew what how 401ks work. So here's the first piece of evidence. In 2020, we paid out, as an industry, over $90 billion in death claims. 90 billion. Some of you might say, well, that's a big number, but why is that important? Because it was the highest death benefit paid out as an industry since 1918. Since 1918, when we had the Spanish flu. So think about that. We haven't paid out that much since 1918. What does that tell you? That tells you that people need what you do more than ever. Now, I would never say that there's silver linings to something as deadly and as horrible as COVID. And a lot of you probably lost people that you know, family members, I know I have, to this horrible disease. But it did do one of the jobs that we have in our business, which is to raise awareness to people that they even have a need. Well, COVID did that for us. How do I know? Because in 2019, there were 150,000 searches online for life insurance. After COVID, you fast forward a year, it went up to 250,000. Another data point that people are looking for what you guys do. And so when we talk about right place, right time, in fact, they do these studies that these polls that determine people's willingness or openness to buy life insurance or why they want to buy life insurance, and I know we do more than life insurance, but I'm using that as an example. Usually, the top things are life triggers, like life events. We call them life events, like getting married, birth of a child, purchasing a home. These are usually the things that are right up top. Guess what was higher? Because of COVID. That was a new question we added to the poll. So, right place, right time with the right company. Why right company? Well, most of the insurance industry is focused on people who have hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest. They're not looking for the people who are searching online for life insurance. They're not looking for the families here. No one's gonna drive 45 minutes for a $100 a month term policy in the traditional industry. So those families will get left behind. In fact, one of my friends from college, he's one of those guys on the financial advisor side. And I went up to him and I said, hey man, it was at his daughter's birthday party just last month, and I said, is your investment minimum $100,000 still? I said, I'm thinking about giving you some to play with for me, because he's been doing that for a long time. And he's like, I'm not joking. He's like, oh man, that was last year. It's $250,000 now.
Wow.
By then I'd had about 3 beers. And I said, I'm not kidding. You're what's wrong with this industry. And he looked at me like, where did that come from? And I said, I know we never talk about business or what I'm doing. I said, but we talk about all the time how you guys, where people need you now more than ever with COVID, and people are losing their jobs, and you're raising the minimums. How is anybody ever supposed to get help? And so I just thought about WFG, and I thought about our purpose, and I thought about this stat, and I thought about what we do. And so now, this is what I believe this is the formula. This is the formula for a family protected. This is not WFG, this is not Transamerica, this is what I came up with. Just based on what we do. Need plus awareness plus solution plus experience equals a family and individual protected. That's the formula. The good news is the first two is kind of being done for us by COVID. Establishing the need, raising awareness. A lot of people are talking about it. They know they need it. Call it fear, call it what have you, but there's a sense of urgency now for people. So that's the good news. The even better news is they don't know who to talk to for a solution. That's where you come in. That's why I say right place, right company, right time, because I guarantee you, most of the homes that you're going into, if you guys are not going into, there's probably nobody else going in there. So they need you more than ever. But here's the best part. Your solutions today, remember, right place, right time, right company, are light years ahead of where I was or where we were. I mean, Swan, you had VUL, and that was pretty much it. That's what I had. I mean, how many of you remember the 1980s? If you had to make a phone call, where was the phone in the house? It was in the wall, right? Could you just take it and walk it outside? How did you make a phone call? Let's see how many people are around me. Yeah. For you younger people, I'm not doing a whoosh. This is how we would dial. So why do I share that with you? Because that's how our products work. That's how our products work. You fast forward to now, our products, what do they look like? They look like this. Meaning, this is like a computer, a phone, a camera, everything else in your internet, right? Well, our products today, now, just take Transamerica. Yes, I'm a little biased, but let's just take Transamerica. We have something that provides death benefit protection, something that has cash value. We had that in the 80s and the 90s. But now you have living benefits, right? Critical illness, chronic care. You have long-term care riders. Now you even have Everest. I mean, just think about all the solution you have today to provide your family that you're working with that you didn't have. This is like the best possible time to be in it. That's the solution part. Experience is the last piece. This is the last piece of the formula. You talk about where we were back in the 1980s, forget that. Where we were in 2019 as an industry. In 2019 as an industry, if you guys sold an FFIUL, you usually had this conversation with the client. Okay, great, you got the first step in protecting your family. Now, we have to schedule what's called a pyramid with, and they're like, what's that? Well, someone's gotta come out to your house, and they gotta take your blood pressure, they gotta poke you with a needle, they're gonna ask you how much you weigh, they're gonna take your urine on some occasions. That was the conversation you had. Now for us, we do it every day. It's not that big of a deal. But if you're not in this business and someone is telling you there's a stranger that's gonna come to your house and collect bodily fluids, how do you think that makes people feel? How do you think that makes them excited about the decision they just made to buy life insurance? Mm-hmm. And then after that happens, then it's gotta go away for 30 to 45 days, where they wait to see if they get approved. That was the experience that our industry was giving across the board. But because of COVID, in March 2020, I don't know if you guys remember, they shut down businesses and said, you can only stay open if you're considered an essential business. You guys remember that? Mm-hmm. Guess what was not considered an essential business? Pyramids. So the industry literally lost in a day their ability to underwrite cases. So as an industry, not just trans, Nationwide, PAC, everybody had to determine we're either gonna get out of this business or we're gonna come up with another way to underwrite people. And so that's what companies did. So COVID essentially pushed us into the pool and said, figure out how to do this. So now with Transamerica, you can get up to 2 million best class with no medical. If you would have told me that that was gonna happen 3 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy. But that's where we are as an industry. So you can now offer not only a smartphone of a solution, they are already aware of their need, and now an experience that is completely different than all of us here had when we bought life insurance. And by the way, it's only gonna get better. I personally know about Transamerica's plans, but I know other carriers are working on the same thing. There will be a day, not 3 years from now, not 2 years from now, but probably a year from now, where you go into Starbucks, you order coffee, and before your coffee is lukewarm, your client will already have the policy sitting in their email box. Wow. Imagine only asking the client 10 questions. Get a decision in minutes. That's where we're going as an industry. And then just think about our model. 40% on submit, 60% on, so effectively people are gonna be getting 100% of their points in money day one. That is where we're going as an industry. So you guys starting to pick up on right place, right time? Is it making sense now? Yes. So I know I'm a little behind, so I'm gonna play catch up here. How do we do it? This is it. And I promise I didn't make this for WSB. I genuinely believe this. So I just told you the formula. So what's the how? It's this. This is the answer. This is how we do it. I just told you the what, but how do we do it? How do we show people this experience? How do we show people their need or raise awareness? How do we provide them the solutions? It starts here. And I mean this from a WG perspective, not just a WSB perspective. And I walked this through with Tom Dempsey. I walked it through with others, and no one fought me on it. Because here's what I believe. Nobody wants to be sold, but everybody wants to be helped. Yes. So you either got to look at yourself as a salesman or someone that's coming with value to provide financial literacy. Your goal should be not that to walk away, you walk away with a check. Your goal should be when you walked away, does that person know more about their personal situation financially than they did before you came into their life? That's why we do what we do. And the one thing I learned from Coach that I still preach to this day, motivation is great in the moment, but motivation is not what keeps you there. Your purpose is what keeps you there. And we have, just look at this behind me. There is no better purpose in our industry than something like this. This is what keeps you going. Not the time that you heard a talk 2 days ago that made you cry. This is what keeps you going. unless you're gonna watch that talk every single day before you wake up. So, here's more evidence. Why WFG? That's the question I'm ultimately trying to answer. There's a lot of competition out there, supposed competition, I'll put air quotes in that. You wanna be with a winning team, your teams are probably asking, like, I got this license now, I can go to these other 3-letter companies, why should I stay with WFG? Well, first I wanna know if they're winning. Here's what we did last year. This is last year. 197, almost 200,000 recruits, almost 1 billion points. We paid over 1.18 billion in commissions. 2 years ago, I said we should become $1 billion commission paying company. We are now one. One of the first things I'd ask, if someone's trying to recruit me to another outfit, have you guys paid out $1 billion in commissions? And the crazy part is, 2 years ago, before COVID started, all these numbers were lower. What other industry actually accelerated growth when the pandemic started? Why? How were we able to do it? Because of leaders like Alicia, Swan, a lot of the people sitting in the front row had the culture, the leadership, the family. I think when you think about all the super trips, those were fun, but the relationships, the trust that those built probably have what kept things going through the pandemic. And so you look at where we are now. Now some people will say, okay, that's great. What do those lead to? Well, you know we're big on rewards and recognition. I love that, by the way, Alicia, putting the two. I told Trump, I'm gonna tell Tom Corbin to do that for your RV, the wholesalers. That was genius. I love that. But here's what it translates to. I love this slide right here. Look at how many promotions we had last year. Almost 779 S&Ds. The one that sticks out to me is 18 EVCs, 9 SEVCs. Where's Zong? Zong, when did you start in WFG?
2002.
2002. Okay, in 2002, how many EVC promotions were there that year? One or two. Alicia, when you started, how many CEO promotions?
Probably 20.
20 when you started?
Yeah.
So now we're over at 37. Here's the bottom line, guys. And this is what I said to guests, because you guys are all probably thinking, we know what these means, but what if you're talking to guests? So what I told the guests this, and I said, I think the same goes for all of you. What this should represent is not, let me back up. The letters don't matter. The letters don't matter. That's not what the slide should be. You should take from the slide. What you should take from the slide is there an opportunity to move up, get better, and progress in your career? That's what this slide represents. Now, why is that important? Because we're in the business of helping people learn about this opportunity, right? Building people. So if you think about the employee mindset, and remember, I'm an employee. So if you think about the employee mindset, that's what you're working with when you're talking to somebody. So what do employees care about when they're interviewing? When they're sitting across the table, what do they care about? Well, number one, they want to know how much you're going to pay them. Can we make money in WFG? Yes. Number two, and I get this question all the time because I interview a lot of people, they want to know, is there an opportunity to move up in your organization? Or they'll say, is there growth opportunities, right? That's what employees want to know. This slide represents the answer to that question. Yes, there's opportunity to make more money. Yes, there's opportunity for growth. And the other thing they want to know is there a reason, is there a purpose that we have as a company? Are we having a positive impact on families and people? And that's what this industry does. Now, the beauty of our business, though, for those of you who worked in corporate America or any other job, let me ask you this question. Is it okay to tell your federal employees how much money you make? No, right? We're not supposed to tell them, right? It's so funny, when you come to WFG, not only will we tell people, we'll put it on the slide, we'll put it on the internet, we'll even give you jewelry that says how much money you make, right? So I love sharing this slide with people because this answers that question. Can I make money in this thing? I don't know, you tell me. We had 4 people cross 8 million last year. 3 crossed 3 million. 7 new $2 million earners. That's great, but the one I care most about is this 568. 568 people crossed over $100,000. For most people, that's their dream. And that is like, you're not even started yet in WFG. Me and Alicia and I were having a good conversation yesterday, and she's with Ellen, and it was just like, is it really that hard to make 100,000 in WFG? No. How many other businesses can say that? So, promotions, opportunity for growth, income, yes. Again, they don't have to know what any of these levels mean, but that's what it represents. So now, you could say, Victor, that's great, but that was last year. What have you done for me lately? Where are we going as a company? And I'm almost finished, Alicia. Where are we going as a company? That's a great question. So how are we doing? We started running commercials this year. I don't know if how many of you guys have seen the commercials, and some of you are like, Antiques Roadshow, who watches that? Well, apparently a lot of people, because after the days that they would run, we would see a 63% increase in traffic to worldfinancialgroup.com. 63%. People that had their own websites, we give you guys opportunity on websites. The day the commercials run, we saw a 30% increase. Then when you think about what it meant for those people who have websites and don't have websites, think about the platform. Right company, right time, you get a website. People with websites, agents with websites, they on average did 134% more points than those without. So if you don't have one, you might consider it, because it works the same for recruiting. For those who have a website, we saw on average they get 58% more recruits than those without. So lots of opportunity there. Oh, by the way, I showed you some impressive numbers from last year. Just this March, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we broke 4 records. 4 records in 1 month. So if you're asking me, because that's ultimately what people want to know, especially if they're a guest or if people are new on your team. Did I make the right decision by joining this company? Is this company going places? And you guys say, yes, it's the best company, we're growing. Here's proof. This is evidence. I'm a data guy. I need the proof. We have 4 records. Largest month for recruits. Largest month, we had over 100 million in 1 month for the first time. Largest commissions paid out, 121 million. And most net recruits ever. That one's a big one, because that means more newer people are making at least $1,000 in this business when they get started. So their belief level is going up. So we're moving places. You're in the right company. Now what's coming? Well, we know that we build our business from big event to big event. There's a big convention happening in WSB. And as Lalisha mentioned, we're doing it in tandem. So not only will you get to see the president speak, you'll get to see, I think, Will Fuller, Jamie, everybody, my talk. So we're gonna simulcast. If you don't have enough people coming to this that you believe you should, I would start making phone calls today, because I've been to WSB conventions. They are life-changing. Most people make their biggest decisions at these kinds of events. We talked about Kurt Warner. Even if you're not a football player, you gotta watch the movie American Underdog. Now, I'm a big football player, so I know who Kurt Warner is, and I've known his story for years. And it's funny, everyone used to joke, they should make a movie about this guy. A lot of my friends, how are they not making a movie about this guy? They finally did. Because he was a football player that kept failing and kept failing. He thought he was out of the league. He was working in Iowa, bagging groceries. He was bagging groceries. And then he got a call to go play and be a backup. He made it onto the team. He wasn't supposed to play. And the star quarterback, this is real life, not a movie, got hurt. The star quarterback got hurt. How do I know? Because I was actually watching the game live when it happened. And I was like, oh, that sucks for that team. They're not going to go nowhere. So they had to play Kurt Warner. And in the first year, he won the Super Bowl. And then became an MVP, took another team to the Super Bowl, and the rest is history. So you got to watch the movie. The guy has an incredible story. his running back, and you don't have to know anything about football, the guy that lines up behind him, that's what a running back is, he's in WFG. His name's Marshall Falk. So Marshall Falk, his player, his teammate all those years ago, is going to interview him on stage at convention. So you know they have some stories. So did you get a job? People excited? Is anybody excited about Kurt Warner? Yeah. It's partly my idea too, so I'm trying to shout. All right, so here's what I'll leave you guys with. Right place, right kind, right company. Even within the Aegon family, this is the best time to be a part of WFG. Why? Because I've been with WFG 18 years, and I've never seen this amount of talk, investment, and belief. We got a brand new global CEO in Lard Frieza, who Alicia met and she called him out once, by the way. And we have a brand new president, Will Fuller. Both of them love WFG. They're talking about WFG. I took a screenshot of the Aegon investors shareholders meeting just 3 weeks ago, Alicia. WFG was the first bullet. We've never seen that before. We've never seen that before. And here's some real math. Again, I told you guys I'm a math guy. Transamerica represents, I want to say, 2/3 of the earnings for Aegon. Because Aegon owns companies everywhere. Transamerica represents 2/3 of the earnings for Aegon. But WFG represents 70% of the life sales for Transamerica. So you start to do the math. If WFG represents 70% of the life sales for Transamerica and Transamerica is 2/3 of the earnings for Aegon, how important is WFG to Aegon?
Very important.
Very important. For some reason, only our new leadership figured that out right away, which is why the next slide tells you about what we're doing next. You're gonna see and hear we're investing millions of dollars into brand new supervision capabilities. TFA, I hope I get to announce a major bombshell announcement with TFA at convention. If you're not registered rep, you're probably gonna wanna start thinking about it. So that's gonna get a huge upgrade. WFG, our platform, our website, yes, Pulse is coming back. We're rebuilding the entire website. It's gonna be completely different than what you know today, that actually works on your phone. Hopefully that you don't have to log in 50 times, password resets. All of that is getting redone as we speak. And then fast, the team that I'm building just got approved this past Friday by Will Fuller personally. I could start hiring now. Finally, the team and the segments of our business that do, here's the bottom line. Did you know that 49% of all personal production comes from MDs and below? 53% of all personal recruits comes from MDs and below. You wanna know what all these levels have in common, even though they drive the majority of production and recruiting? You wanna know what they have in common? Well, let me ask you, can any of them call the home office?
No.
Does that make sense to you?
No.
So that team is gonna be the team that can finally start taking phone calls from these people. So we're investing in WFG, and hopefully you guys see why. I'm not sure if you guys are big goal people. I hope you are. This is WSB, but this is where we're gonna be in 2025. This is why we're investing all these millions of dollars. We do 200,000 recruits a year. We wanna be at 400,000 recruits. We have 57,000 licenses. We wanna be at 100,000 licenses, and so on and so forth. But more importantly, we wanna be a $2 billion commission paying company. That's where we wanna be. That's where we're going as an organization. And we can't get there without WSB. In fact, without WSB, we can't do any of those numbers. So we really need you guys to, if you are successful in this campaign, then we'll hit those numbers. That's the bottom line. So on behalf of my family, on behalf of WFG Home Office, please make sure that you keep purpose over premium, and everything else will take care of itself. So thank you so much for letting me.